Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat Nashya Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtakit Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namah. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Chakshuram Tasmai Shri Gurave Namo Vishvadaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Srimate Swami Namaste Saraswati Gaurani Kacharine Nirvishesh Navadi Bhashkadari Shadalini Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gautase Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubheva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Radha Kant Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So, all right. So we welcome everyone for today's discussion of our, as a part of Bhagavat Life program. We are on the third canto and on the concluding set of verses of the fifth chapter. And also we're going to cover today the sixth chapter. I'll do a quick recap of what we have discussed briefly. And then before I take the last section of the fifth chapter, I'll take first sixth chapter. Then we'll come to it. Can we just pause it? Yeah, you can pause it. So here in the fifth chapter of the third canto, we saw Vidurji meeting with Maitreya. We had a discussion last week also about it. Begins to inquire from him, and he asked about various incarnations of the Lord, about the creation, etc. And then Maitreya began to speak. And Maitreya then in text number 22 onwards of the fifth chapter to verse number 38, he spoke about creation. Oftentimes it is said, the sages, or oftentimes it is said that religion is faith-centric, whereas science is based on empirical results. However, when you read sections like this, which are extremely complicated, then you begin to really wonder, is it true that religion is only faith-centric? Maybe, yes, Abrahamic traditions could be, but we are talking about here the great sages who performed years of tapasya, who walked the path of Vedic knowledge, Vedic instructions to purify oneself, to receive the higher levels of realizations. Here, Matrimony speaks about something very interesting. Whenever a subject matter of creation comes, I often think about the womb, because that's how Srila Prabhupada said. When the father injects or father gives semen or leaves semen in the body of a mother, then the process of emulsification and the process of creation in itself begins in the body of a mother, or the womb of a mother, like that. So here, Maitrimuni speaks about the creation, and he says how Karuna Daksha Vishnu, who is in the Yoga Nidra, he glances at Prakriti, and then happens, or what comes out of it is called Pradhan. What is Pradhan? These are some things which you would have to write it down to remember. Otherwise, you would perennially remain confused about what are these terminologies. So Karna Daksha Vishnu's glance is called as Shambhu, which is nothing but actually which carries all the living entities, and then is interaction with Prakriti. So when Karna Daksha Vishnu glances at Prakriti, then it leads to a state of existence, what is called as Pradhan. Pradhan has what? Pradhan has all the living entities, which mean all the consciousness. Pradhan also has, the Swabhava of living entities, their past karma. Pradhan also has a Kala Shakti of the Lord. Pradhan also has three modes of material nature. However, these three modes of material nature are unmixed. They are not yet mixed. That is called as Pradhan. Then this Pradhan, over a period of time, becomes Mahat Tattva. Hare Krishna. What's going on? Okay, anyways. Then this Pradhan, over a period of time, becomes Mahat Tattva, where the modes of material nature becomes active and they interact with each other. However, because of the Kriya Shakti, it has prominence of mode of goodness. So then Mahat Tattva comes. So Mahat Tattva, I'm really not a doctor. The doctor can tell what exactly happens in the womb, after the process. It's just like creation of an egg, kind of a thing. Very preliminary stage of the creation of an egg. So Mahatattva has all the living entities, everything, and now different things will begin to manifest. That's what we read last time. Then from Mahatattva being interaction with different modes and false ego, Ahankar is created. And Ahankar in mode of goodness, mode of passion, mode of ignorance creates different aspects. In goodness, mind and sense devtas are created. Ahankar when it interacts with passion, then Adi Atma, which means prana and 10 senses are created. And then when mode of ignorance, Ahankar interacts with mode of ignorance, then Dravya Shakti, 5 matras and 5 elements, earth, water, fire, ether are created. Like this, the preliminary creation has been created, explained. So it is mentioned that how Ahankar interacts with mode of goodness, what gives birth or what comes out are sense devtas. Then text number 39 to text number 51 talks about the prayers offered by this sense devtas. So this section will take it at the end of today's discussion. We want to go to the 6th chapter. First, we're going to focus on creation here. Can I show them the slide?
Yes.
I can show the slide from my screen. So at least they'll get some idea. So creation, where is share screen? So this is what we kind of discussed so far. Glass, along with time, material nature. This is the Pradhan comes Mahat Tattva. Ignorance, and these are the following things which are created with Ahankar interaction with goodness, passion, ignorance. And we have sense devtas. So because these sense devtas have appeared, but they don't know what exactly they have to do. Moreover, very interesting thing another thing that we learn here, it's not that Lord has just created. In fact, Lord is personally present in every stage and every step of the creation. Just like the sound turns into or gives birth to ether, That also happens because of the presence of the Lord. Ether comes into touch, happens because of the presence of the Lord. So that is what here this purpose mentioned, these verses mentioned, that how at every stage and every step of creation, Lord is present. So these sense devtas are born and they really don't know what to do exactly. They are actually looking for direction. So they begin to offer faith. Fine, we'll come back to that later on. Let's go to chapter number 6 now. It has around 40 verses where now matrimony goes further on the discussion of what happens next after this. All these things have been created, but they are kind of separate elements. They are not yet kind of joined together to give existence to any creation. It's just like you've got a big piece of land and you want to build a house on it. So you got a cement bags, you got a marble, you got a stone, you got reti, you got all the supplies, but there is nobody to use it to create something. That is the state of creation right now. Is that okay? Now let's come to 3.6. So when Devatas offered prayers, the prayers were offered to Karana Daksha Vishnu because nobody exists right now. This Karana Daksha Vishnu exists. So Devatas offered prayers to Karana Daksha Vishnus, and in response to the prayers offered by Karana Daksha Vishnu, then Vishnu responds or reacts. How he reacts? We're going to take a look at the verses, the flow of verses from 6th chapter. We'll need a Veda base here now. 3.6, text number 1. I'm not going to read the Sanskrit, we're going to go with the English directly here. Translation. The Rishi Maitreya said, the Lord thus heard about the suspension of the progressive creative functions of the universe due to the non-combination of its potencies, such as the Mahatattva. So elements have come into existence, but they're not combined together. And therefore, the Devatas prayed for wisdom, what to do about it. That's what being described. So when the Lord is being said, the Lord, it refers to Karana Daksha Vishnu. Prabhu, that's a very beautiful point. There is nothing wanting in the creation of the Lord, but unless they are combined by the will of the Lord, nothing can progress. The suspended progressive work of creation can only be revived by the direction of the Lord. Text number 2. The Supreme Powerful Lord then simultaneously entered into the 23 elements with the goddess Kali. Now, who is Kali? Very interesting. Now, from where did the goddess Kali came? So, what all exists right now is one of the representation, or that is what Kali is. And Kali means destruction, right? Kali means destruction. And what is that one destructive force in this creation? That is Kala Shakti. Kala Shakti is nothing but Kali, all devouring, all destructive. The Supreme Powerful Lord then simultaneously entered into the 23 elements with the goddess Kali. 23 elements, which all have been created from goodness, passion, goodness, interaction with Ankar. We saw that. Like this. Then text number 3. So the time factor, this energy is called as Kali Propadakshana. Text number 3. What happens next? Thus, when the Supreme Personality of Godhead entered into the elements by his energy, all the living entities were enlivened into different activities, just as one is engaged in his work after awakening from sleep. Very interesting concept, very interesting point is mentioned here. Best of the yogis, or let's say everyone, they have understanding about this whole world to a certain degree. One person says, or one set of people or yogis may say or believe that at the end of the life, yes, reincarnation exists, no doubt about it. But at the end of this life, moksha means merging into the Brahman. And that's the end of it. And some say when this universe ceases to exist, then there is nothing else left. But here it is mentioned. Now, creation keeps happening again and again. This is another creation happening now. So when the creation is happening again, what happened to all those living entities who did not got liberated. So first of all, from the Bhagavatam perspective, the purpose of material creation is for the purpose of material creation, the purpose of this world. Why have we come here? Why we have been given this opportunity to come to this world? Is for what? There's only one thing: reformation. It's only for reformation, not for enjoyment. Not for enjoyment. Reformation. Those who get reformed, they graduate from this world, they go back to spiritual world. They get admission into spiritual world. Those who fail, what happens to them? What happens to them? This universe has a beginning and an end, as with any matter. Material universe is also matter, only material universe. So what happens at the end when a living entity has not graduated from this world? What happens to that living entity? Hare Krishna. Oh, sound is coming from here? Okay. Any quick thoughts? Yes, Riteshu.
So when Vishnu inhales,
तो गर्भदक्ष विष्णु भी गए, क्रिएशन ही खत्म हो गई अब तो. गर्भदक्ष विष्णु कहाँ रहे? Oh, inhales Karanadaksh Vishnu, not Garbhadaksh Vishnu.
So all the living entities goes there and go to.
Okay. So Ritesh was saying, so at the end of annihilation, or when this creation is annihilated, so what happens to those who did not graduate? They're sent back to class 1. Go back, restart your education, which means restart the whole process. So they enter again into the body of Karanadaksha Vishnu. So when creation has to happen again, what will happen? The same living entities will come back again into the creation. So these are the jivas here. So now question may arise, Prabhuji, acha, what about my karma? Would my karma get nullified then? No. Your karma and svabhava goes. So when the creation happens again, jiva comes along with this karma and svabhava. Because then what form do you get? Now who among this set of jivas become the devatas? How do you decide? What you did. Even if you failed in the previous exam, how miserably or how well you failed. If you were near the cutoff marks, then you get the role of devatas probably. You know, and if you really failed badly, then you get lower species of life. You become the dutas of Rudra. You know, before anything happened, Bhuta, Preta, Pishash, they all came into existence. Huh? They all got into, this will come into the third canto, all that. So that's the point mentioned here. Correct. Unconscious stage, you can read the rest of the purport, beautiful purport. Text number 4. When the 23 principal elements were set in action by the will of the Supreme, the gigantic universal form or the Vishrupa of the body came into existence. So we are talking about universal creation of the universal form in this particular chapter. In general, there are 2 viewpoints of it. One is atheistic, which says Big Bang and different theories like that, for which there is no scientific evidence. Another is Vedic point of view. Interesting thing about this both viewpoints are, both are exclusive, not inclusive. Both are exclusive. If you happen to believe in the atheistic point of view of creation, you cannot digest and understand the Vedic point of view. And if you have understood and accepted the Vedic point of view, when you listen to the atheistic point of view, you'll have a good laughter show. You would have a good fun time like that. Therefore, when the moon landing thing had happened during Prabhupada's time, Prabhupada quite a lot emphasized on it, so that they can give up their faith on the scientists and take to the faith on scriptures. I wonder, people say, our world is progressing, we are making advancement. I mean, okay, I agree, we're making advancements, fine. We may have a better means of education. I'm not saying necessarily education is good, but we have a better means of learning today. We can connect to more people. Internet technology have given that opportunity. Sitting here at one part of the place, the rest of the world can hear the message of Bhagavad Gita. So we have a better means of learning, but what have we done out of it? For example, yesterday only I read the news I don't know which country, I didn't pay much attention, it was just, I skipped through it. There was a knife attack on preschool kids, which means toddlers. I believe somewhere in France or something. France, right? There was a knife attack on preschool kids. For God's sake, what have they done which they need this kind of treatment? They had gone out in the park, probably with their parents. I didn't read the news. I don't know what exactly what they were in the park. What would they be doing in the park? Just to have some fun time with the kids. And the preschool kids were attacked with a knife. Now, when it is at preschool kids, which I mean, there will be several. अगर एक आध तो ये थोड़ा बोलते preschool kids. Then day before yesterday was the graduation ceremony of the school. And there in the graduation ceremony, one boy came, he shot one of the boy who was getting graduated. Along with that, he shot his father and he shot few other people. This is where it's happening. It's always happening. This kind of a crime is happening in those places which we call as an advanced civilization, advanced world. My question is, don't they have a mean to stop all this? Is it a rocket science? They can fly a rocket, send a rocket into the space, but they don't even understand this basic thing. What you show is what a person become like that. If you show violence, if you show vulgarity, what else do you expect the society to become of? Although they are best of the sociologists, psychologists have written hundreds of thousands of books, published papers. Does it take a very scientific mindset to understand if you do not stop showing criminal activities, bloodshed, etc., to the kids and to the youth, what else would they do? Every game is about bloodshed. Every movie is about this. How vulgar movies have become. How they show killing of each other as if nothing. It's just like Holi pe gubara fenkte hai na, phad gaya. Like that they show. And these movies are super hit. So, I mean, we can't really trust these people. Even if they have the means, but they're going to misuse it. They just want to keep the masses enslaved to their senses. So, now come to text number 4, birth of universal form. At the 23 principle animals set in action by the will of the Supreme, the gigantic universal form of the Vishnu of the body came into existence. Okay, what happened then? Text number 5. So, very interesting point. Just like child's birth and growth within the fetus is due to the soul. If there's no soul, the fetus will not grow, right? The fetus, we say, fetus will not grow. Similarly, universe birth and growth, amalgamation happened right now, happened because of the presence of the Lord. Text number 5, pay attention. As the Lord and his planetary portion entered into the elements of the universal creation, they transformed into gigantic form in which all the planetary systems and all movable and immovable creations set. So what planetary portion is being discussed now? Garbhodaksha Vishnu. So now from Karanadaksha Vishnu, Lord manifested himself as Garbhodaksha Vishnu and he entered into the elements of universal creation, which transformed into a gigantic form in which all the planetary systems and all movable and immovable creations can rest like this. And Prabhupada focuses this only, the matter cannot grow on its own. Although the matter had been created by Karanadaksha Vishnu, yet matter could not do anything. Again, the soul had to, which means the Lord had to again get involved, super soul. Lord had to again get involved into it to give a shape to that matter. That's the point. So therefore, this analogy is given. The creation of this universe is almost same like the creation of the child in the womb. The body grows because of soul. The universe grows because of presence of super soul. Text number 6. Now, this gigantic Virat Purusha known as Hiranmay. This is in the form of an egg shaped. So you can say now egg has taken form, taken shape. Lived for 1000 celestial years on the water of the universe, and all the living entities lay with him. So it's just like, again, the same process of procreation, emulsification. It takes a form into cell, and then it takes a form of an egg, and it lies in the waters of the body of mother. All kind of that water, dirty water, whichever it is in the body. Similarly, this egg was lying in the waters. What waters? Where was it lying? Karana Sagar, not Garbhodaksha Sagar. Where? Karana Sagar. This is said to be a golden eggs. Like this, they're lying in the Karna Sagar or Karna Ocean, Karna Daksha Ocean or Karna Ocean, like this. How long? 1000 celestial years, like this. And so actually this verse should have come before fifth verse, because Garbhodaksha Vishnu have already entered. But this is not in flow. It should have come before. Therefore, Prabhupada writes, after the Lord entered each and every universe as a Garbhodaksha, half of the universe was filled. Then what happens? Then the Lord enters, and these eggshell, the eggs, get half filled with water, where Garbhodaksha Vishnu resides. From where does this water comes? It is said to be the water emanating from the body of Garbhodaksha Vishnu. He is lying in that water. And all the living entities are injected within the womb of Mahatattva, divided into all universes. This is puppet with the incarnation of Garbhodaksha. So when Garbhodaksha Vishnu manifests, at that point of time, this Mahatattva gets divided. And Mahatattva gets divided means then all the living entity gets divided. According to the size of the universe, different amount of living entities are sent to that particular universe. So that's what is happening here. Garbhodaksha Vishnu manifests. He enters into this what we call as Hiranmaya. He resides in it within the water, along with all the living entities which are meant, which is part of the quota of this particular universe. And until what time all these living entities reside in the body of Garbhodaksha Vishnu? Until Brahma takes birth. It resides, all the living entities reside in the body of Garbhodaksha Vishnu until Brahma takes birth. And when Brahma takes birth, then Brahma is given charge now to create bodies for these living entities. And that's the secondary creation because. Text number 7. The total energy of the Mahatattva in the form of the gigantic Virat Prabhu divided himself by himself into the consciousness of the living entity, the life of activity and self-identification, which are subdivided into 1, 10, and 3. What is this 1, 10, and 3? Into the consciousness of the living entity. 1 means the heart. Heart is said to be the residing place for soul. What is 10? Life of activity, that is Prana Shakti, the 10 life airs. And self-identification, which is identified by 3, that refers to Adhyatma, Adhibhauta, Adhyatmika, Adhibhautika, Adhidaivika, will be described in the following verses. Like this is being described. Okay. Beautiful purports. I'm just trying to help you understand the creation. I'll not get into the purport right now. Text number 8. Now what happens at this point of time? The gigantic Virat Purusha takes form. The gigantic universal form of the Supreme Lord is the first incarnation plenary portion of the Super Soul, which means now Garbhodaksha Vishnu expands himself as Kshirodaksha Vishnu. He is the self of an unlimited number of living entities, and in him rests the aggregate creation, which thus flourishes. Text number 9. The gigantic universal form is represented by 3, 10, 1, in the sense that he is the body, the mind, and the senses. He is the dynamic force for all the movements by 10 kinds of life energy, and he is the one heart where life energy is generated. Extremely important purport. Science of all bodily functions are given in this particular purport. Something which need to be very thoroughly studied, should be studied by doctors actually, this particular section. So let me raise a question to all of you. So, I mean, I hope this is a little bit clear how the creation have come into existence, what's happening around a little bit. You might have to hear it several times to really get some mental picture of it. And maybe when you read it, you'll be able to understand a little bit. Now, my question is, if you see every living entity is provided with eyes, nose, skin, ears, and tongue, yes? Anything we create in this world, for that, we always create a prototype, right? Particularly which you're going to do a mass production. There's a mass production of living entities going to happen. So there needs to be a prototype. prototype where it is decided by the creator what all needs to be put into it. There is nothing right now, and you're going to give a shape. So, okay, आंखें देनी है, दो देनी है, क्या देनी है? It depends on different living entities. You can have multiple eyes, but there has to be something to decide कि आंख होनी नहीं होनी है. Eyes, nose, ear, tongue, touch. So these all now begins to manifest in the universal form first. We have the capacity to see, we have the eyes because the universal form got the eyes. Universal form got the tongue because of which we have the tongue. And like this, everything. So three things happen. One is a sense, which is tongue. Then what is the use of the tongue? If there is no sense object means meant to be relished, which means taste, which means the taste has to be provided in this creation, which is done by the moon. So tongue, the sense object. Now for this, there has to be sense devta. Who ensures? Have you ever wondered? Let's go more fundamental. Have you ever wondered when father and mother unites? How does this whole human being is born? Every human being is born with two eyes, one nose, one mouth, and it is always in the same place only. ऐसा नहीं कि आंखें पैरों में आ गई, पैरों की उंगलियां मुंह पे आ गई, right? मतलब when we plan and organize and do so many things, still mistakes happen, isn't it? But how come if a man and woman unite, will give birth to a human child? When a tiger and tigress unite, they give birth to a cub. Similarly, cow gives birth to a calf. How? And everyone is born. There could be little changes in the features, but these senses are in their respective places. How? This is a question which science never want to think about it, because they'll be forced to accept there is a higher power. So this subject matter is never discussed on. But if you go back into the fundamental, so that's the point of. So the point I was saying, for all these senses, therefore there are sense devtas. There is a sense devta for tongue. There is a sense devta for ears. There is a sense devta for eyes. Who ensures that they function, and how they ensure? Based on your karmic account. So if they are not there, these things will not work. Just like any software which works, which you develop, that software has many parts. And for every part, there is a project manager. That is called a sense devta. Making sense? And that project manager would have several team leads and several fellows underneath them, which makes sure that part of the project comes out as it is expected. And on top of it, there is one boss. In our case, that is Garbhodaksha Vishnu. That is how the whole thing happens. Okay? So 10 kinds of air, I mean, you read it for yourself. What else can I say? Text number 9. Anyways, I will not be able to explain everything of the technicality here, but I'm trying to help it to make it simple for all of you. What else I can do? So, okay, we can read the third paragraph at least. All these airs, okay, that's an interesting subject. Let's read it. How can we skip it? Second paragraph of this purport. The movements are, okay, another thing. For example, I'm able to raise my hand. How am I able to raise my hand? It is said the blood is circulating. How blood is circulating? See, everything is pulled down by the gravity, isn't it? If I leave my hand, it has to come down. To raise a hand, I have to voluntarily put my strength, power into it. But just to bring it down, I don't have to. It will free fall. Then how come the blood is rising upward? How come the blood is rising upward? By the law of gravity, all the blood should be in my feet only. Above the rest of the body, I should be dried up. Isn't it? How the circulation of blood is happening? So, breathing. We are breathing in. हमने चलो निकाल लो. कैसे निकालोगे? How can you exhale now? Tell me. मतलब, are you pumping your liver? Are you punching your stomach? निकल हवा बाहर निकल. How is the air coming out? Think about it. So for this, all these operations in the body happens because of 10 airs, life airs. And how and where, from where does this life air gets its strength? Because which means force, which means there is a particular air which pushes the blood upward. I'm able to speak. How am I able to speak? It's also because of a life air. So that life air is represent an energy. The question comes, what is the source of energy for this life air? That is heart. And where resides soul? Let's take a look at the second paragraph. The movements of the body are first generated from the heart. All the activities of the body are made possible by the senses, powered by the 10 kinds of air within the body. So your body is powered by 10 life airs. The 10 kinds of air are described as follows. The main air passing through the nose. Okay. Think about it. One is eating, one is evacuating. How do you evacuate? Evacuate means passing stool, passing water, passing the excretion out of the body. How does it happen? Of course, I'm pretty sure nobody would have ever thought about it. Today, their only thought is, thank God it's going out. People are struggling with so much constipation, indigestion, whatnot. They're happy, they're grateful for the day when it goes out. How does it happen? How does excretion comes out of the body? How we pass water? It's all because it's 10 life airs. Let's take a look at it. The main air passing through the nose in breathing is called pranavayu. The air which passes through the rectum as evacuated bodily air is called apan. The air, this is the one which pushes. The air which adjusts the food stuff within the stomach and which sometimes sound as belching, dakar, belching, is saman. The air which passes through the throat and stoppages of which constitutes suffocation is called udan. And the total air which circulates throughout the entire body is called vyan, which is actually helping all the movements. Subtler than these 5 airs, there are others also. That which facilitates the opening of the eye. How does my eyes open? So these are the airs which they call it is the energy. Eyes, mouth, etc. is called nag air. The air which increases appetite is called karkara air. The air which has contraction is called kurma. The air which helps relaxation by opening the mouth, yawning, is called devadatta. The air which has sustenance is called dhananjaya. Hare Krishna. This is science, isn't it? This is science. All these airs are generated from the center of the heart, which is one only. The central energy, supreme energy of the Lord, who is seated in the heart with the soul of the body, who acts under the guidance of the Lord, explained in 15th chapter, verse number 15. The complete central force is generated from the heart by the Lord, which is seated there also, who helps the conditioned soul in remembering and forgetting. The conditioned state is due to the soul's forgetfulness of his relationship. Like that has been described. Hare Krishna. Text number 10. 1, 10, 3 is being described. 10 life airs being described. Let's go to text number 10. The Supreme Lord is a super soul of all the demigods and trusted with the task of constructing the cosmic manifestation. Being thus prayed to by the demigods, he thought to himself and thus manifested the gigantic form for their understanding. So, because Devtas had prayed to help them and for the purpose of creation, Lord manifested this Virat Roop form. So, very interesting. Why did Lord manifest a Virat Roop form? Why did he manifest a Virat Roop form? Because Devatas prayed. Why did Lord Shri Krishna showed his Virat Roop on the battlefield of Kurukshetra? Because Arjuna prayed. So the one perspective to look at it is, Lord is fully independent. He doesn't need anything. What has been done, all this arrangement that has been made by him, is only for our sake. It is not that he is enjoying anything from the material universe. If Devtas would not have prayed, you and I would not be sitting here. We would have been still suspended in the body of Karanadaksha Vishnu. अब पता नहीं वहाँ शांति शांति का एहसास होता है, यहाँ पे बैठे बैठे लड़ाई कर रहे होते, वो तो मुझे पता नहीं. Because Devtas prayed, that's the reason Virat Roop, and because of which everything came into existence. What came into existence, we'll see that now. Prabhupada, it's very beautiful point on the purport. When any material object displays development, it must be understood that there is a spiritual soul within the manifestation. Such a simple point. Such a simple point, and people cannot understand the difference of living and non-living. For the so-called scientific society, advanced society who eat meat, for them, all those animals are non-living. They consider them for their consumption. The gigantic universe has developed gradually, just as the body of a child develops. The conception that the transcendence enters in the universe is therefore logical. As the materialists cannot find the soul and the super soul within the heart, similarly, for want of sufficient knowledge, they cannot see the supreme soul is the cause of the universe. Very interesting thing Prabhupada writes for PhD. I always become excited when I hear PhD because I'm saved from getting the PhD degree. Otherwise, this joke would have become applicable for me. Okay, let's take a look at it. I had this mad passion for getting PhD degree. I thought वैसे तो डॉक्टर बना नहीं, ऐसे डॉक्टर बन जाते हैं. नाम क्या कि डॉक्टर लिखा है. Prabhupada writes in the last paragraph in the middle, the mundane PhDs are completely unable to speculate on the supreme. Such attempts by the puffed up PhDs are compared to the philosophy of the frog in the well. And you know that how the frog was, saying this big, this big, this big, and it was increasing size and finally busted in night. Prabhupada said, the title PhD can be interpreted as plow department. Gadda khodne wala department. A title meant for the tillers in the paddy field, which means वो हर जगह गड्ढे ही खोदते रहते हैं, सोच के कहाँ पानी मिलेगा, कहाँ पानी मिलेगा, उनको कहीं अपनी प्रश्नों का जवाब नहीं मिलता. The attempts of the tiller in the paddy field to understand cosmic manifestation, the cause behind such can be compared to the endeavor of the frog in the well, like this. Text number 11. Maitreya said, you may now hear from me how the Supreme Lord separated himself into the diverse forms of the demigods after the manifestation of the gigantic universal form. The question comes, oh, who becomes these devtas? Proposition and purpose. The only difference between the living entities and the demigods is that when the living entities are rich in pious acts of devotion service to the Lord, which means when they were just close to the passing mark, because they couldn't get the passing mark, so they're still in the material world. They were close to the passing mark. These people are chosen to become devtas. And when the desire to lord it over material nature, energy has vanished. They are promoted to the post of demigods who are entrusted by the Lord with executing the management of the universal affairs. Now, text number 12 onwards, I'll speak from the presentation. From 12th verse to 26th verse, there is a discussion of how the prototype is created and also manifestation of sense organs, sense objects, and as well as sense devtas. So how do we go for it? How do we go for it? We are here. I just show the PPT that will work. It is visible? Or I need to share? I need to share on Zoom, right? Yeah, that's what. I need to share on Zoom. And here we are. Okay? Yes. A quick recap of what we have discussed. Development gigantic universe form. Let's take a look at what we discussed from verse number 1 to 10. Lord saw the creative function suspended, elements in unmixed state. That is, post all the elements have been created, described in the previous chapter. Then Lord's Kali energy or Kala entered 23 elements. All Jiva and the dormant karmas got awakened and elements are combined, which leads to the formation of Virat Roop into existence. Elements combined together to form a fetus in which all the lokas and characharas existed. Virat Roop lived on the waters with jivas for 1,000 years, like this. And then the Lord divided himself into three. Consciousness, Jiva Shakti, which is Jiva Shakti, that is heart. Life is Prana Shakti, and self-identification, Atma Shakti. Adibhut, Adidaiv, Adi Atmika, like this. Adhyatma, Adibhut, and Adidev. Daiva, sense devtas, Adibhut, earth, water, fire, like this. Adhyatma, subtle senses. Let's take a look at it. 10 kind of life years, we saw that. Now let's take a look at the discussion from verse number 12 to 26. So, Maitreya said, now you hear from me how Supreme Lord separated himself into the forms of the demigods. So in Virat Roop, now the mouth manifested. And what is the function of the mouth? It helps the living entity to express himself in words. And who is the Devta for it? Agni. Then the palate, the Devta, sense Devta is Varuna. Then nostrils, the nose developed. The sense Devta is Ashwini Kumar. Then two eyes, sense Devta is Sun, which causes the vision. Then skin, Anila. Ears, Devta. Controlling deities of sensation, separate manifestation skins. Then genitals manifested in Viratu, the sense Devta Prajapatis. Purpose of it, enjoy sex pleasure. Then evacuation channel, which means rectum, like that, Mitra. Then hands developed, the presiding deity Indra. Then legs developed for that presiding deity. This is not the supreme personality God Vishnu. Then intelligence. How can I hide this? Hide. Yeah. Then came intelligence and Brahmaji. Then heart, moon, Chandra was born. Materialistic ego, Rudra, and consciousness represented by Mahatattva. Like this, 12th verse to 26th verse talk about how all this thing began to manifest into the Virat Roop. As I said, creation of prototype. Then after this is done for the prototype of living entity, now the for development of planets, living entities, and varnas happen. It's an extremely important discussion, particularly about the varnas. Prabhupada's purports are very, very profound. So kindly do read it in detail at your leisure. Formation of planets for different people and their residences. So the head of Virat Roop indicates heavenly planets. What was the mode of consciousness permanent? Goodness. Who resides? Devatas. The abdomen, which means the part of the belly, is sky, ignorance. Mode ignorance. Who resides? Bhut, Pret, Pishash, Betal, like that. Rudras associates. And the legs, earthly planet. Mode passion, human beings, like this. And low planetary system is beyond the legs, like that. Now, what are the varnas and their duties? Limb of Virat Roop, mouth, Vedic wisdom, hands, power of protection, Kshatriya, thighs, means of livelihood because we walk with it, Vaishyas, and legs, service, Shudras, like this. So, what are the occupational duties are described? Please read the purpose of this particular four. We will get a far better clarity what it means, this one ashram, what it means to be. Okay, these are varnas, the duty development plan, living entities, and varnas. So this is up to verse number 33. Then comes the concluding verses in this particular chapter where Mathamuni expresses that how he is incapable of explaining about the Supreme Personality Godhead. That we'll see it next week. This was all about your and show, right? Thank God. I thought Zoom it. So this was all about your kind of primary creation. What Maithimuni would describe after this is the part of secondary creation. But let's go back to the prayers of Devatas. Thoda samajh aaya? I mean, at least all this should actually, if not, at least minimum, it should, increase awe and reverence about the Supreme Personality Godhead. What? A second thing, it should also humble us. We know nothing. We are falsely proud of so many things, thinking that I know something like this. Okay, so let's go to the last few verses of the 5th chapter. Let's go to text number 39 onwards. We'll begin reading. Can we have the slides with the base? And we'll read the verses quickly. Deva Uchuhu, text number 39, 5th chapter. Namam te deva padarvindam prapanna tapo pashamatapatram yanmulaketa yatayo anjoshuru samsara dukkham bhayakshipanti. Text 30. Canto 5th. Mil gaya? All right. Please show it. I'll have somebody, devotees read the translation. I'll give a quick summary of it. Are you showing it now? It's not coming here. It came now. Okay, so keep the screen as it is now. So we'll be quick here. Somebody would like to read the translation, can raise your hand and we'll make it quick. Mother Seema, go ahead, your hand is up.
The demigod said, "O Lord, your lotus
Okay, wait,
feet are
wait.
like an
Volume of the TV. Yes, Mother.
demigod said, O Lord, your lotus feet are like an umbrella for the surrendered soul, protecting them from all the miseries of material existence. All the sages under that shelter throw off all material miseries. We therefore offer our respectful obeisances unto your lotus feet."
Hare Krishna. So, Prabhupada, that's a very beautiful point. This is the realization of Devtas. What is the realization? If, unless one takes the shelter of the Supreme Lord, how advanced they may become, they would fall back again into material existence. So, all these yogis, I was reading about recently one particular yogi, uh, uh, very, very famous and yogi from the Himalayas, who had another very famous set of famous personalities, yogis as disciples. Hare Krishna. Mother Seema, you want to mute yourself? Yeah. So I was reading about his departure. I was curious about it. How do they depart and what happens at the time of departure? So if in case some of you know about Buddha's departure, now Buddha is expansion of Lord. But he came to teach certain thing, he had a purpose to fulfill. So Buddhaji, when it came for Buddha to conclude his pastimes, Leela, it is mentioned that they reached one part of the forest. And actually it was from last few days only Buddha had said, okay, my time has come. It's my time for me to conclude my activities. And then he foretold, so and so evening, I want you to, don't inform anyone else, but he told his servant, I want you to be prepared. My time has come. And when that particular evening came, Buddha told, now I want you to put me on this particular stone slab and I'm going to lie here. I don't want to talk to anyone. I just want to merge into that Brahman kind of a concept. And here Buddha lies down and all the pupils, all the students of his, they're sitting at a distance away. And suddenly the flowers begin to shower from the sky. And that's the point of time that the disciples understood. Of course, the whole environment changed, the situation changed, and everyone felt and understood that our great master have disappeared. Okay, that's long ago, 2,500 years ago. Let's talk about this particular very advanced yogi who lived all his life in Himalayas, who never left Himalayas. The last place he ever reached in Himalayas is Rishikesh. He never even came to Haridwar. At a very young age, he went, and he always lived beyond Rishikesh, particularly in the high ranges of Himalayas. So when his final time came, body really gave a lot of troubles and etc. everything. And he had a servant, another brahmachari who was serving him, and it is mentioned or written in the book or described that now Swamiji could sense that his time has come. So he was not able to speak much. He was not able to eat much like this. In the evening time, the disciple offered him some hot water. And then the master asked his disciple, all right, you can go and take some rest. If I need something, I'll call for you. So the student went to take rest. He just went outside the room and sleeping on the door only. He went and sat there. And he was very much feeling that, this is the end of it. My guru is going to leave like this. He went on the door and he was sitting there. And suddenly, because he was so tired, he dozed off. And suddenly, around 3 o'clock in the morning, he woke up as if being woken up by his guru only. He woke up. Wait a second. No. Before he went to sleep, before the guru went and sent him for sleep, sorry. He woke up at 3 o'clock. He woke up at 3 o'clock. When he woke up at 3 o'clock, he rushed to his guru, his master, and he saw his master has already woken up. And his master told him, I'm glad you woke up. I want you to bring me out of the kutir, make me sit in a Padmasana out in the open sky. This is happening at Gangotri. So the disciple 3 o'clock in the morning, which means the moonlit, stars-lit night, brought him, sat there, and he said, "Now I want you to leave this place. I want to be alone with Paramatma." And the disciple went away. But that disciple was so tired, so tired. The moment he went away, he said he slept off again. And everyone else in the whole ashram is sleeping. Nobody knows what's happening. And after 45 minutes or something, he woke up and he went to see where is my master. And then he realized his master had left him. He passed away. I was just thinking about it. I said, okay, our departure, where this departure of a devotee is described, there is an effort, this whole chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Let's say Bhishma Pitama's departure, Parishit Maharaj's departure. They all departed while hearing about Krishna, and it's a one-way ticket. Let's say Srila Prabhupada departed. All disciples were there. Now, why the master said you walk away or go away? Because he was worried. I should not have any emotional attachments. If in case my disciple would be here and a thought comes to mind, मेरे जाने के बाद इसका क्या होगा? पता लगा मैं इसका शिष्य बन के दोबारा आ गया. No, this is, because when you are on this Jnana Marg, you have to really cut off everything, cut off all the relationship. That's what happened with Buddha when I was reading. It was very, very emotionally traumatizing for me. I said, no. I hate that. I'm not going to be part of this. This is very, very terrible. You have to artificially break all the relationship. You have to set your mind free from all affinity. Here, Prabhupada was surrounded by all his devotees. Prabhupada is talking about services, how to make ISKCON progress. And while devotees are chanting, he remembering. Here, the yogi is trying to forget everything. And here, for a devotee, is trying to remember the Lord. I mean, quite easy as compared for a yogi to actually go to the destination where U-turn is guaranteed. And here, while remembering the Lord, taking the shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord, you go away. So that is what is mentioned in this verse. Just like those who do not take shelter of the Lord's lotus feet, whoever they are, they would fall back. Prabhupada gives a reason elsewhere in the purports why they would fall back. Any let's see how many of you understood this. Any reason why with these great yogis would fall back? What potentially the reason? Yes.
We have no relation.
Why do you need relation?
Because that's the nature of soul.
Nature of soul is relation. Okay, what else? What else?
No knowledge of Krishna, God.
No knowledge of Krishna. What else?
Yes,
Huh?
envious to Lord, as they didn't remember not their last.
All right. Yes.
They are not on the platform of Ananda.
They're not on the platform of Ananda. Well, not exactly. Om Shanti Shanti platform is also pretty advanced. Of course, they don't have that platform Ananda, which we talk theoretically. So the answer is the nature of the soul is to love. Whom do you love? When you're all alone. The nature of the soul is to love. We have to understand this. Therefore, we practice here. We practice how? We practice falling in love with Guru's instructions, with Vaishnavas. You have to love somebody. Unless you love them, you cannot love God. You cannot love Krishna. So that's the thing, because the nature of the soul is to love. They don't get it. So the poor fellows have to come and find a wife here, or maybe a husband here. They have to come back. Has to continue. Okay. Okay, we'll be quick now. Text number 40. Hari Bol, presentation, please. Yeah, okay. It's coming so slow or what? Text number 40, translation. Okay, Mother Subhashri, go ahead, read it.
O Father, O Lord, O Personality of Godhead, the living entities in the material world can never have any happiness because they are overwhelmed by the three kinds of miseries. Therefore, they take shelter of the shade of your lotus feet, which are full of knowledge, and we also thus take shelter of them.
Hare Krishna. So the freedom from misery only possible when we take shelter of the Lord. Next, text number 41. Very beautiful verse. Magantiyat mukapadmanide chandha smurne rishayo vivakte yasyagamasho dasaredvaraya padam padam tita pada prapanna. The beauty of the Lord is described here. Yes, go ahead.
The lotus feet of the Lord are by themselves the shelter of all places of pilgrimage. The great clear-minded sages, carried by the wings of the Vedas, always search after the nest of your sorry, lotus-like face.
Okay, you need water, mother? No problem, no problem. Okay, we read this, right? Madan Radhika, go ahead. Some of them surrender your lotus feet at every step by taking shelter of the best rivers of Ganges, which can deliver one from all sin protection. Text number 42. Please read text number 42.
Simply by hearing about your lotus feet with eagerness and devotion, and by meditating upon them within the heart, one at once becomes enlightened with knowledge, and on the strength of detachment, one becomes pacified. We must therefore take shelter of the sanctuary of your lotus feet.
So very interesting thing Prabhupada writes. Prabhupada, this, you can mark it, this Prabhupada as miracles of bhakti. Prabhupada writes, what is a miracle of bhakti? The greatest bondage in this world is sexual attraction. You know, the most stubborn attachment for material enjoyment is sex life. One is attached to sex life is to be understood as devoid of knowledge. Knowledge must be followed by detachment, jnana and vairagya. Prabhupada says, Vasudeva Bhagavati. Prabhupada doesn't say, Prabhupada is putting here. Scripture say, Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayota Janayati Asu Vairagam Jnanam Chayat Ahitukam. The knowledge and detachment follows automatically one who follows devotion life. That is the miracle of bhakti. Like this. Text number 43. Translation, please.
O Lord, you assume incarnations for the creation, maintenance, and dissolution of the cosmic manifestation, and therefore we all take shelter of your lotus feet because they always award remembrance and courage to your devotees.
Yeah, Name Bhakta Pranashyati. I mean, when I was reading about this yoga, I was like, किसको याद कर रहा है वो? परमात्मा, परमात्मा, परमात्मा. Some say Shiva is Paramatma. Amongst the yogis, there's a big confusion. You know, some say Shivoham. So, whose shelter? I remember while I grew up, there was a joke. There could be many jokes, but there was a joke. There was a competition between a Pujari and this one, क्या नाम है? Maulvi. They challenge each other. Maulvi challenge. चलो देखते हैं किसका भगवान सर्वश्रेष्ठ है. दोनों गए घाटी के टॉप पर. दोनों बोलते हैं हम कूदेंगे. देखते हैं किसका भगवान बचाता है. So, मौलवी कूदा है ना, तो अल्लाह अल्लाह करके उसकी कहानी जो भी होगी पता नहीं, छोड़ो, हम अपने वाली की बात करते हैं. So, हमारा पुजारी कूदा, तो पहले कूदा तो शिव शिव शिव, अब वो कूद रहा है, कुछ हुआ नहीं, दुर्गा 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 दुर्गा, कूद रहा है, हवा में टगा हुआ है, कुछ हुआ नहीं, विष्णु 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 विष्णु, और धाम करके जमीन पे गिर जाता है. अब उसकी सटल बॉडी निकल कर आती है. राम नाम सत्य हो गया, सटल बॉडी निकल के आई तो उसने देखा विष्णु दुर्गा और महेश तीनों खड़े हैं वहां पर. बोला प्रभु ये क्या है, आपका नाम लिया, आप आई नहीं और अब दर्शन दे रहे हो. तो तीनों ने एक साथ ही बोला भाई हम तो आए थे, तेरे को पकड़ने वाले थे, जैसे पकड़ने वाले तूने किसी और का नाम ले लिया, तूने पार्टी इतनी जल्दी बदली, हमें कंफ्यूज हो गए, तुझे चाहिए क्या? You know, sorry, I made this joke terrible. This is from my childhood memory. I don't exactly remember the joke, but something on this line. So the point here is, I was just wondering when this great yogi Chinmayananda was his disciples. You name all the big fellows were his disciples. Foremost legend of the recent history. And he just sat there and said, I'm looking at the stars. And he disappeared. You know? And here it is mentioned, what? Text number 43. When devotees take your shelter, they are always awarded with remembrance, and you always award them with remembrance, courage, your devotees, fearlessness. And therefore, it doesn't matter. You're a boy, you're a child, you're a woman, you're a corporate guy. Everyone can practice bhakti yoga. Nobody can take to the austerities that these yogis have performed. Okay, fine. Text number 44.
O Lord, persons who are entangled by the undesirable eagerness for the temporary body and kinsmen who are bound by thoughts of mine and I are unable to see your lotus feet, although your lotus feet are situated within their own bodies. But let us take shelter of your lotus feet.
So 44 through 47 verse, now Devtas talk about who can accept bhakti, who cannot. So here this says who cannot accept bhakti, or bhakti is hard for those who are attached. Material attachment fails. I mean, bhakti is the easiest. And if bhakti becomes hard for somebody, there is no scope of hope for that person. So don't ever say, बहुत मुश्किल लग रहा है भक्ति करते हुए. So indirectly you're declaring yourself incapable for anything. आपने already assume कर लिया अगले जन्म में 4 पैर तो guaranteed है. All right. Okay. Text number 45. Who else cannot take shelter of the Lord? Please read.
O great supreme Lord, offensive persons whose internal vision has been too affected by external materialistic activities cannot see your lotus feet, but they are seen by your pure devotees whose one and only aim is to transcendentally enjoy your activities.
Yeah, those who are aparadhis. The greatest aparadhis are Mayavadis. Loosely we call them impersonalists also, because today impersonalists and Mayavadis have no much difference. More or less they both are same. But before, impersonalists were different, Mayavadis were different. That's what Prabhupada writes in the purport. Offenders fail to see the Lord like this, despite of how advanced they could be. Prabhupada gives an example of a hunter and Devrishi Narada. Hunter had performed so many sinful activity, but he took shelter of Narad Muni. He got the mercy of the Lord. Text number 46. Bhakti is so easy. Go ahead.
O Lord, persons who because of their serious attitude attain the stage of enlightened devotional service, achieve the complete meaning of renunciation and knowledge, and attain the Vaikuntha Loka in the spiritual sky by simply drinking the nectar of your topics.
What do you mean by simply drinking the nectar of your topics? Hearing. Therefore, we should have everyday hearing program. Why I say everyday hearing program? Because in a conditioned state as we are, we perform bhakti according to rules and regulation, not because we like. So today maybe not be a nectar of Krishna Katha. Of course, we do have some attraction, therefore we are sitting, we have taken to bhakti, no doubt about it. We have developed some attraction over a period of time. Yet material nature is quite attractive. You know, you're sitting here because you know that the program is happening here, you're here. But imagine if you're at home, then somehow material nature becomes very attractive. That everything else we can potentially do, but here. I mean, imagine, I guess Ritesh was there, Shubham Prabhu was also joining. I mean, what are you doing at home in the morning? When you go for vacation only, now. You don't have to cook, your mother is there. You don't even have to wash your clothes that time. Mother is busy doing everything. What are you doing? If at home somebody says, I cannot practice devotional life, when every comfort is provided, which means Maya is really very attractive. Isn't it? That's the point about it. So to prevent ourselves from that situation, therefore, we should have this culture of everyday hearing. At least at Evolve Pune, I mean, this had been my goal. We're not able to do it entirely, but I wanted that every morning and every evening we should have, like Prabhupada said, there should be a Bhagavatam class, Bhagavad class. There should be something going on every morning and evening. Whoever has a potential, whoever has a time, they can hear whatever. At least we are able to offer something to the society. During COVID time, we did it. Every 7 o'clock there will be a program. Every 8 o'clock in the morning and every 7 in the evening. We used to have it. But now, because travels and many things, but there should be something going on. So nobody can have an excuse, that there was nothing to hear. Fine. Okay, text number 47.
Others who are pacified by means of transcendental self-realization and have conquered over the modes of nature by dint of strong power and knowledge also enter unto you. But for them there is much pain, whereas the devotee simply discharges the devotional service and thus feels no such pain.
Kya खूबसूरत श्लोक है. Gyanis do shrama, effort, endeavor, and they become fatigue. Question is, what about devotees? Do devotees also become fatigue? Well, Krishna says no, devotees don't become fatigue. Any example? An endeavor was made all life, but then became frustrated. And the example is a listener of this Bhagavatam right now. Who is a listener? Vidurji. As we said, discussed before, he was a failure. He did Shrama. He did all his effort to give good direction to Dhritarashtra. It didn't work. But what did he became frustrated? क्या है ये जीवन, मैं जा रहा हूँ, कुछ नहीं भक्ति भक्ति. I'll go and take 2 पैक चढ़ा के शांति से जंगल में जाके सोऊंगा. Huh? I mean, he had all the right to really go and look for bagpiper or some, what is that? Some other companies, whatever. Budweiser, America में आया था तो बड़ी Budweiser something. You know, you could have really, when you become frustrated, you know, all your efforts have been thwarted. What a person does, you could have no. He went on a pilgrimage, which means the devotee never becomes tired. A Jnani would have done it. Jnani would have had a relapse. So devotees are not tired. Even if they don't achieve success in their efforts, they don't stop their devotional activity. And this situation is only awarded by the Lord. Those who are blessed, like Vidurji, can have this opportunity. Yeah, beautiful purport. I'll just read 1 or 2 lines. In terms of a labor of love and its returns, the bhaktas, the devotees of the Lord, always have priority over persons who are elected to the association of Jnanis, like that. Okay. Text number 48.
O
Now
original
they begin to ask for blessings now.
O original person, we are therefore but yours only. Although we are your creatures, we are born one after another under the influence of the 3 modes of nature, and for this reason we are separated in action. Therefore, after the creation, we could not act concertedly for your transcendental pleasure.
Fantastic verse here. Very interesting. किस चीज का बैटरी है? Hare Krishna. Very interesting verse. They are saying that, my dear Lord, although we are born of you, but because of influence of the modes of material nature, we are separated in action. Hare Krishna. We are separated in action, and thus all our work has been suspended. Therefore, after the creation, we could not act concertedly for your transcendental pleasure. It carries a very deep message. Devatas were born of the Lord directly, but because under the influence of modes of material nature, they could not function together. Similarly, in this world, to come together and cooperate is extremely very difficult as long as we are under the influence of modes of material nature. Jad Bharat pastime, Srila Prabhupada writes there. Why Jad Bharat was a pure devotee when he was forced to carry a palanquin? Why there was no teamwork? There was 3 versus 1. Other 3 fellows, conditioned living entities, they were working in unison with each other. But they could not cooperate with the pure devotee. Or to say pure devotee could not cooperate with them. Why? Because modes were different. Here was one person who was beyond the modes of material nature, and these are the people who were under certain modes. So Jad Bharat was very carefully walking not to put his feet on the ant. And these people could not understand that. So there was no cohesiveness. Even despite a pure devotee, to expect that there would be a cooperation from the society, it's unimaginative. This should not even thought of. Srila Prabhupada, did he got cooperation from everyone? Everyone cooperated with him? No, not like that. So that's it. So the point, as a community, if I want to draw a lesson from a community, therefore it's extremely important for all of us to first of all take to this kind of educational activities and try to cultivate mode of goodness. Now let me give you the mind of a leader. For a leader to delegate responsibility, he would always prefer to delegate responsibility to he who knows has a proper sadhana. He who knows is present for Bhagavatam classes, who regularly comes for classes, regularly attend program. Why? Because when we come together and hear Krishna Katha together, cohesiveness is far better. As in comparison to those who are trying to practice or do their life separately. Somebody says, मैं घर में बैठ के भागवतम पढ़ता हूँ. What evidence do we have? तुम पढ़ भी रहे हो तो क्या सुन रहे हो? क्या समझ आ रहा है? How do we know about it? So this should not be seen in the sense of partiality, but this is what it is. Because if we are gonna remain affected, we all are under modes of material. There's no question we are beyond it. Now, within that, how can we work well? As much as we can have Krishna within our relationship, to that degree, there'll be cohesiveness. That's the point. That's the reason any leader for that reason would have their, those individuals who are very receptive, who are very much part of the activities and programs. And the very first quality is a good listener, is willing to hear and follow. This is a basic requirement. This is what leads to trust. Text number 49. We are coming to the concluding of the discussion now. Yes, who is reading? Mother Indradika, go ahead.
O unborn one, please enlighten us regarding the ways and means by which we can offer you all enjoyable grains and commodities, so that both we and all other living entities in this world can maintain ourselves without disturbance and can easily accumulate the necessities of life, both for you and for ourselves.
Fantastic. This is the root of the Karma Kanda thing. Devatas asked for creating a system where we can live in harmony with the living entities. So that third chapter of Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna mentions about that I created a system of interdependency, parasparam, between you and Devatas, because Devatas prayed for it. Oh, unborn, please enlighten us regarding the ways and means by which we can offer you all enjoyable grains, commodities, so that both we and all of the living entities in this world can maintain ourselves without disturbance and can easily accumulate the necessary life, both for you and for ourselves. So on Karma Bhumi, Prithvi, they perform labor, they produce grains, and those grains are offered in Yajna to Devatas, and Devatas in turn provide all the facilities, material facilities, so that they can grow grains. Parish, Surya ki kirne, Hawa, ityadi ityadi. So this comes from here. Text number 50.
You are the original personal founder of all the demigods and the orders of different gradations. Yet you are the oldest and are unchanged. O Lord, you have no source or superior. You have impregnated the external energy with the semen of the total living entities, yet you are unborn.
You are our father. That's the point here. Text number 51. Last verse. They ask for, my dear Lord, please bless us so that we can serve you.
O Supreme Self, please give us who are created in the beginning from the Mahat Tattva, the total cosmic energy, your kind directions on how we shall act. Kindly award us your perfect knowledge and potency so that we can render you service in the different departments of subsequent creation.
Very important verse for all of us, for each one of us. Three things are expressed by Devatas. They're asking for three things. First, mercy. My dear Lord, please be merciful. Just like we say, Mukham karoti vachalam, pangum langayatigram, yat kripatam vandan shigrum, dinatarinam. I am not qualified. Only by the mercy of my Guru, I'm able to speak something. So first, asking for mercy. Why do we offer prayers in the beginning? Is to seek blessings, is to seek mercy. So first, mercy. Second, empowerment. Empowerment means service allocation. When service comes, that means empowerment. Now, to able to render that service, what we need? Knowledge. That could be knowledge or could be skill. So therefore, they are saying, please give us the knowledge and potency so we can render your service in the different departments of subsequent creation. Very, very fantastic purport. But purports are homework for all of you to read. You have a 1 week to read. If I get into the purport, this class will continue for next 1 month, maybe more. I don't know. The purports are very profound. Anyways, for 5th chapter, we have already spent 4 weeks, if I'm correct. So we have to really move on. So that's it for this particular chapter. Once again, I'll repeat, how do we perform service properly? We need three things: mercy or direction, empowerment, and potency or knowledge, so that I can perform a service. So in today's discussion, we covered the prayers of Devatas. After hearing these prayers, Karanadaksha got into action again, and then he manifested himself to Garbhadaksha Vishnu, which amalgamated. Before Garbhadaksha Vishnu, he manifested himself in the Kala potency, that is Kali, which amalgamated all the elements together. which took shape of Hiranmaya, golden universal shell in which Garbhodaksha Vishnu entered, and he lied within the causal water into that Garbhodaksha, into that क्या कहते हैं आपका Hiranmaya, and from that Garbhodaksha Vishnu, all the living entities got divided into different universal shell, and now this living entity residing in the body of Garbhodaksha Vishnu, waiting for Brahma to take birth. Before Brahma can take birth, a prototype has to be created. Thus, universal form takes into a shape. And universal shape, form, you got eyes, you got nose, you got ears, skin, touch, everything. And in that universal form, you got all the four varnas, you got all the senses, sense devta, sense object, everything was created. Now, the time for Brahma's birth. Chapter number 7. Let's see what's going to happen next chapter. Further inquiries by Vidura, and so the primary creation have happened. So now text number, as you see, text number 8 will talk about appearance of Brahma. Now it becomes very exciting. So the little difficult part is over. Now nice subject matter stories will come. A little bit of technicality again will come, division of time, all that. You'll have to study physics again. What to do? Sorry. Bhagavatam will also teach you physics. Your days of study science is not over. And then Kumara, then those also stories will come. Okay? So we'll pause here for today. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki. So good. We are moving forward. We are coming to the 7th chapter now. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So who all do we have with us? Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for joining in. For next week's schedule, I'll send the schedule to you maybe by Sunday, as I'm away for the first few days. Okay. Hare Krishna.